Good morning, it's Lisa with Lisa Heal Yourself, and today I want to talk about change. What does it take to change? How can we fully change? How do we change? How do we do it, right? There's all this talk. We know what we want. We can even see what we want in a lot of cases, but our own patterns and our own resistances and our own limited thinking and just what we want is sometimes different. There's another side to us, right? Why we're sabotaging ourselves, why we aren't going, why we aren't changing, and doing what we need to change in order to become who we want to become. So that's what this video is about today. All change is a conversation between yourself, between parts of yourself, okay? And you have to be able to accept, on one hand, accept yourself fully, accept your weaknesses, accept why you're doing things, why you're doing these things, accept all the reasons about that, and also then be willing to change. Not want those things, not want that anymore for your life for another reason, a bigger reason, a different reason. So when we're talking about change, it's really this conversation that you have with yourself between acceptance and not accepting what is and not accepting what is. You want to change something, you want to be different, but yet you have to accept. So we're accepting certain things and it's this conversation, it's this dance that we have to get to where both of them are valid, both of them are equal, and we have to be able to, rather than just forcing ourselves, like you must change, you must do this, you should do this, and ignoring all the reasons why you're not doing it. Why aren't you doing it? What are those things that you're getting out of it? Where's the comfort in it, right? So you must accept and you must be willing to change, to not want that anymore, to want something greater for yourself. So this is a real conversation in your head, and both must be present. Both must be present in order to change. First thing I want to say is that you can't force change. You truly can't force change. I mean, you can bulldoze yourself into changing, but you're going to be using inner tactics like putting guilt on yourself and shame, and if you don't do this, you're not going to be any good, right? You're piling on things that are not healthy if you're forcing yourself to change. And so that's why change is hard, because we can force ourselves into change, but if we really change psychologically, because we've added up a whole layer of negative self-talk, negative blame, shame, guilt trips, all this in order to get ourselves to do it. So really change must come more organically. Change must be a conversation between yourself, right? There must be a willingness to change. So when we get into that there must be a willingness to change, why don't we change? Why don't we change? Why are we afraid of being willing, right? And usually that's fear. Fear stops us from change. And, I think people who have chronic illness, chronic symptoms, chronic pains, chronic suffering, chronic whatever you have, fall into two categories. People with a lot of hope and people who are hopeless. So now, if you have hope, you can oscillate from being very hopeful and you really want something to work out and you try and you fail and you slip into this big puddle of hopelessness and it's so hard for you to pick yourself up, but you do, and you hope again, and then you fall back into the hopelessness, and then this is a very hard, trying cycle that many people fall into the category of. Then there's other people, I guess they're not just hopeless, they've given up. They don't try anymore. They don't get their hopes up, right? They say, nah, it's not going to work. I've tried everything. I've already done everything. There's no point. And they just accept sort of the status quo, even though they're not truly accepting it, but they just don't want to get their hopes up. And maybe this is because they've gotten their hopes up so much in the past and they've been crushed so many times in the past that it's the fear of the fall from hope that eventually puts them in the category of, I just don't care. I don't care anymore. I'm not going to try. It doesn't matter. There's nothing I can do. I can't make a difference. Because your body is trying to protect you. Your inner self is actually trying to protect you against that fall into hopelessness, right? And then the climb back up, the inevitable climb back up. So it's just, to have hope is a beautiful thing. You need hope if you're going to heal. So if you're in the category of, I just don't care, there's nothing I can do, it's hopeless, why try, why bother? You're probably not going to heal. The people who still have hope and are willing to put themselves out there to try something, to get their hopes up again, to get back on that, this is the next thing that's going to work. This is going to be it. I'm going to do it. Takes a lot of courage. So that's why they say healing takes a lot of courage, because being able to have that hope takes a significant amount of courage. And really, it's courage because if we try and it doesn't work, we have to feel that feeling that nobody wants to feel, right? That's why there's another category of people who just don't even put themselves in a position that they can have that feeling, that they'll feel that feeling. So if you have hope and you continue to summon this hope, you have to look for hope anywhere you can find it. And then let it inspire you to the point that you're willing to make a change. You have a willingness that you're willing to try. And it takes courage because we don't know if it's going to work. We don't know what's going to happen. And so it takes extreme courage to allow yourself to have hope and not know if that hope is going to end in the way you want it to, or if it's going to end in this feeling of complete and utter despair and hopelessness. And as you fall down and you realize something that you were hoping so badly would work didn't work. But that's what we need. We need courage. And you need a lot of faith in yourself in order to have that courage to hope. So one of the things that you must do in order to change is grow your faith, right? And so there's little ways that we can grow faith in ourselves. And that's just doing all these little things throughout the day. Start something, right? Like cook yourself a meal. Can I do something new? Can I learn something new? Learn a new language. Learn to play a song on the piano, a song on the guitar. Just, can I go for a walk? Can I keep a commitment to myself? And then you do it and then you get back. You're just building faith. You're building faith in yourself to be able to accomplish something. And we're just looking to build this sense of faith in yourself. Like, I can do it. Because hope is like in you. You either have it or you don't. You either have the courage that you're willing to. You can catch hope. Hope's contagious. So you can watch videos of people who have healed and people who have done it. And you can remind yourself every day that there's hope. And it will be contagious. And then you have to have the courage to go for it. Right? And to sustain you, you need a little bit of faith. Like, to believe in yourself. Like, I can accomplish things. I have done things in the past. I'm able to do this. And if it doesn't work, you're going to have to summon that hope again, which takes courage. And, sometimes weeks, months, years, and more years go by. And hope can start to seem like a waste of time, a waste of energy, right? But when you stop trying, you'll never get there. You're never going to heal. So you have to keep hope alive. It is so important. And that takes courage and change. The courage to change takes a willingness to fail. It takes a willingness to experience the feeling of falling from hope, which is a hard feeling. So why don't we change? Why don't people change? Somebody who's overweight, who wants to lose weight, and knows that they should eat a certain way, but they don't. Somebody who wants to quit smoking, knows that they want to, and they know all the reasons, and they, but they just don't change. Somebody who has pain and knows what they need to do, knows they can't pay attention to their pain, knows they need to move beyond and break different patterns in their life and change their brain, right? Rewire their brain. But they just are afraid, or somebody who's got an illness, right? All these different things. When it comes to having your symptoms, why don't people change? Why are you afraid? Why are you not doing what you're supposed to do? Why don't we change? And the answer is totally fear. Not fear of trying and failing. It's not always even failure. It's that feeling of hopelessness when you know you've got to get back up. And it takes so much energy to get back up. So like if you were a heavyweight boxing champion in the ring, you're not necessarily afraid of failing. You're going out there. You're in the fight. You've got hope. You're going to win. But as things are turning against you and as you're just getting pummeled and you fall to the ground, you might not even be afraid of failure, because when that guy knocks you out, it's over. It's over. But it's the like you're on the ground and there's that second where like, am I going to lay here or am I going to get back up? And like, it's the effort it takes to get your hope back up from that point, laying on the floor. That is the point, right? That's the point. That's the moment. That's what we're dreading. That's what we're running from. That's what we're so afraid of. So you've got a high hope, but a high fear of that hope, right? So high hope is great. But when you also are coupled with high fear of hope from the constant knockdowns and having to get back up, sometimes the fear of the hope can become higher, because it is so hard to be at that moment, laying down, like saying like, this is it, this was a knockout, I know this was a knockout, and just letting it be over, just giving up, saying, I lost this one. Or are you gonna like reach deeper and have that Rocky moment, right? Like reach inside and be like, I don't know what's gonna happen when I stand. This is gonna be bad if I get knocked out again. Like I could really hurt myself. Like I don't know what's gonna happen. And the strength and the courage that it takes to keep hope alive in that moment, I get it. I understand. I've been there. That's what it requires in order to heal. That kind of faith that like, whatever happens, you got this, you can do this, right? You believe in yourself. Like you need faith in that moment in order to have hope. You need courage. And that's really what it comes down to. Ultimately, why people don't change. They don't know why they don't change. But is the feeling, you know? Sorry, I'm being a disappointment or being a failure or feeling that rejection from society or the deep shame or not living up, you know, to the standards, and just the shame and the guilt that you pour on yourself, the judgment, the self-criticism, the self-hate. I mean, that's it. That's why people don't change. So take anything that you want to do, that you know you should do, that you have many reasons for wanting to do, to move your life forward into an area of growth that you're ready and open for. And literally it's fear of hope that's holding you back, right? The fear of failing and having to get that hope up again and try again. It's so much easier to not to. It's so much easier to sit on the sidelines and eat that bag of chips, or, you know, watch that TV, or not do that thing, and just not break your patterns and not confront your relationships and not, you know, change your internal thoughts and your feelings and your emotions and do the inner work. And it's so much easier not to, especially when you've tried and failed, especially when you've had to get up and get up and get up. And like, you don't even know if it's worth it anymore. Because what if you get up and you get knocked right back down and it wasn't even worth it, right? That's where people get to. That is that moment. And that's really the moment. That's the deciding factor as to why people change, why some people change, why some people don't. So change. Don't be afraid to hope. Don't let that fear of hope override the hope itself. Keep going. Hold on. You can change. Build faith in yourself. Start with little things. Prove to yourself that you can do little things. You can do little things. Believe in yourself. Build that muscle of belief and faith so that you can sustain the hope and the fear of hope in those deepest, longest, darkest moments. So as far as I'm concerned, you have one job. You wake up and you find hope. You find a way to get that hope high, okay? And then you meet it with whatever you meet it, right? As your symptoms come in, as you encounter that relationship that's difficult, as you go about your day and you need to make choices on your food and your routine and what you're doing and what you're not, in every little aspect of your life, when those challenges and those triggers start to come in before you, you got to find that moment where that hope breaks, you open, right? Even just for a choice of what you're going to eat. Where's that moment, or when the symptoms slip in, right? Where's that moment, though, when the hope slips, when you're falling down and you're like faced with the moment, like, I'm going to give up right now. I'm going to call it a day. I'm going to say it's beaten me. I'm going to give in to all my old patterns and all my own urges and all my own destructive behaviors and thought patterns. Where's that moment, right? That moment of like when it turns from hope to like hopelessness, like I give up, and like you're not able to find the strength to like climb back up again, right? So your one job is to wake up every day with hope and to make choices all the way along that day that keep that hope alive, to be courageous, right? And when you get there, when you find yourself at a moment, whether it's in an argument with somebody or a relationship or a pattern of thinking that you're having, or the food choices or the pain symptoms or whatever it is, when you're met with the moment, the challenge that sort of gets beyond the point, right? That breaks your spirit, that breaks your hope. What are you going to do? That's the moment that we have to turn inward and face ourselves, right? That's the moment that we face ourselves. What are we going to do here? It's like that moment of Rocky being on the ground. That's the moment. It doesn't have to be a big, huge knockout and you're on the ground. These are in little moments all day long. You have one job. You wake up with hope. And where does it beat you? Where is that moment that you need to face yourself and have courage, have faith in order to keep going? That's what we're looking for all day long. We're looking for those. They're going to show up, but we don't want to give up in those moments. We don't want to say, it's too much. I've had enough. It's beaten me. It's over, right? I'd rather not try anymore. So it takes courage to meet those moments and look them in the eye. Do the inner reflection in each and every single one of those moments. And believe, have the faith to ride it through and to keep the hope. And I hope you do. And I hope this video has been helpful. And I will see you in the next one.